Welcome to Philly Coco Presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 112. This is developers' journey into making cool stuff. I'm Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Coco Heads community focused on Apple development. That primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. Not according to Google anymore, because apparently we're going to be out of a job soon.
Someone's been watching Google I/O.
I didn't watch that part.
Maybe more like the clip notes.
I think it was just implied by everything they're building. It's just like, we're going to try to replace everything.
I mean, so to get people caught up who don't know, Google I/O is Google's annual developer conference. Seems strange. It's almost like a 2 to 3 day conference this year. Not as long as Apple.
They have to be different than Apple, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. They're always earlier, and usually we kind of get a preview to some degree of what could come from WWDC. But this year is kind of interesting because a lot of the focus is, surprise, surprise, AI. So,
I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it.
Interesting one that I've heard that was kind of somewhat fascinating, but not surprising, was that I think Android Studio has a migration tool. So if you have
a migration to what?
Yes. So you have from iOS to Android. Now,
obviously, that's ridiculous. Why would anyone want to do that?
Well, I mean, if you want to do cross, well, so a good example is you develop completely in iOS, but then you want an Android app. Well, you just let Android Studio do all that heavy lifting for you.
Hey, man.
And is it using a
Android
Gemini
app?
I'm sure it's using
for it. I don't know.
I'm sure it's using the hot new Flash or something, which is another interesting story because apparently there are new models, right? So I don't know. I know that I've heard about the Flash one, but I don't know if that's the extent of those.
Yeah, the Pro model is supposedly coming out next month. A lot of coming soon stuff at this I/O.
Yes, and
not available yet.
Here's all the things that they released.
Gemini, Omni.
Google, I'm sharing. You can't see this, listeners, because we are not a video podcast. But Google put up a 100 things we announced at I/O 2026. So
of course,
I'll put in the show notes so it's convenient.
Mm-hmm. I guess one of the funnier things is Gemini 3.5 Flash is I think
the most expensive model ever.
They don't advertise that.
It is a lot more expensive than the old Flash.
Yeah.
So what's different about this new Flash versus the old Flash?
It's fast and
more expensive.
More expensive, and I guess does better on the benchmarks than
most of them.
Old Pro version, most of them.
Well,
it's competitive with 5.5 from OpenAI, I guess. They're all the same to me. They all they haven't changed much in a year or a half or whatever.
Steve's over AI.
I'm over.
Done.
We can talk about that. But
I mean, one thing that's interesting
I'm
here.
getting cranky about this stuff.
I know. So we're enduring this particular hype cycle part of this conversation. But one of the things that's interesting that I thought about Android, where they've sort of said this, they basically are having their Copilot moment, and they're shoving Gemini all over Android, slapping it everywhere and anywhere and all the things in every possible way, right? So it's a core part of the UI experience. At least it feels that way.
They didn't even talk about Android directly during the keynote.
They had that Android event. Was that last week?
Yeah, right.
Just because they knew they weren't going to be talking about Android at all.
So that's the funny thing, because this is only a 2-day, officially 2-day conference, was plus on the 21st they're put out more I guess straight to video kind of content. But I'm looking at some of this stuff is they don't even talk anything. There's no talks about Kotlin or Jetpack Compose at all. There's two talks about Flutter, and okay, but what does that imply? That the coding, quote unquote, all the coding sort of talks are non-existent. Now I could be wrong, and by the 21st they are all show up, but it just strikes me as the emphasis is clearly around agentically building your apps, even these mini apps that they talk about, where where the users can build their own, or they have pseudo widgets.
Yeah,
that
you don't need
come
to
up based on context.
You don't need to write code anymore. You just need to search for something in Google, and it will make an app for you or something.
Right. I feel like it'd be like a lot of cached apps, right? So like it'll say, okay, we built this
like
out
how
before.
much of these things are just kind of templates that have already been figured out? I don't know how much it can actually build from scratch.
So you know what they are? You know what they are? They're dashboards. Because that's all these things ever build. They're all variations of dashboards. Let's do a family trip and like, what is that? What is that thing going to build me? It's going to build me a freaking dashboard that has like my itinerary and links to places and like it's always like a dashboard, informational website. It's like a little interactive sliders on something. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of the stuff I talked about was just all about Gemini AI and like changes they're making to the search interface. And
one of the other fascinating thing, which I don't know if that's going to be like an extra cost, is that they are integrating like their own variation of OpenClaw. So you would be doing something through
the Gemini Spark thing, I think.
I think so. Yeah, they're your 24/7 personal AI assistant, right?
The personal AI agent.
So it works in the background
on your digital life. Look, man, you don't even have the time or energy to navigate your real life.
I don't know. In the recap video I watched, the only thing that it showed was it generating these giant slop docs. Who wants to read those?
You're like what is this? I need something to like. Normal people do not have the problems that these tools are always demoed as supposedly solving. I've noticed this comes up over and over again. Like normal people,
but the things it generated don't look like a solution. Just look like more stuff that nobody has time to read.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that happens all the time if I use these things. Like it's just like even just using them while like trying to generate code or documentation or something, and it'll just spit out like dozens of lines of explanatory text. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not. I don't want to sit here reading for 10 minutes.
All of the headache into one document instead of you finding the documents that you probably knew where they were already.
Anyway, I think we Kotaro had some kind of plan for what he was going to talk about, and we've derailed him. So go back to it.
We have no particular plans here. You know how this works. We always derail our own topics.
Well, then I wanted then I want to say the highlights for me were for IO. So the Gemini 3.5 Flash, which has turned out to be very expensive in benchmarks and not that great from what I've seen briefly of people using it, like in terms of for coding and stuff.
My AI accountant's going to have a crap fit if I start using one of these.
And then there's Gemini Omni, which is like another model, but it takes in like any kind of input and then it can output it. It's a little confusing. What is Omni? Is anybody? It's like it's a multimodal thing.
Yeah, I think it's just a like text interface that like routes to all the different image and video models.
It's video outputs. It says for now.
I see. Okay, so it's like their was it version of like
Sora right now?
Yeah, it's a Sora.
Yeah.
Except that they're claiming that eventually it will be able to generate any output from any input. Whatever.
Yeah, it's like you can throw a image and turn it into a video and with a bunch of text prompts to update it. And there was a bunch of terrible videos that they showed of people floating in space and with ugly anime filters and things like that.
There was.
So,
this is something a little to sidetrack, man.
Yeah. This is going to be great for those TikTokers, you know.
It will be. That's what it's going to be used for. And YouTube Shorts are going to actually.
That's all it can generate is like whatever, 15 seconds of video or something. I don't know. It's all of the clips seem pretty short.
But I've noticed that Google presentations are always so awkward. I don't know if you noticed that, but like they always
that's why
everything
I couldn't
about
sit through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I had to watch the bridge version.
But the thing that came up to me that it didn't really talk about Android stuff as I missed that presentation a week ago. But the thing that would affect everybody, I think, is it changes the AI search their search. They're going to change the search box. It can now expand with your text. It's the biggest change in 25 years, whatever, as they said.
Yeah,
That's the joke I made at work. I was like, so the biggest change they made in like 20 plus years of the search box is that it automatically expands when you type in more text.
That's a big change, man.
It also, and it does autocomplete. Can you imagine something more annoying than you're typing into a search box and it tries to autocomplete? They were demoing, and I was like, that looks really annoying because the demoer is like typing, right? And then like pauses, and then some autocomplete suggestion comes up. You know, autocomplete suggestions are really annoying when they're not actually what you want, right? Because you have to figure out how to like not include it, whatever. And so now you can't even just type a search. It's going to want to like autocomplete. I don't know. We'll see how that works. But then, and so they talked about that, and then it has you could search for text, images, and stuff. Okay, that's cool. But then it can generate like little bits of UI or something as part of the answer. And their demo was, I think, something about like how a planet goes around a sun or something. But then what they generated was a little tiny animation, right, with some sliders. But there's no way for me to know if the animation is actually representative of anything real. Like, is the model accurate? Like, where did they get the source? Where are they sourcing this model from? So instead of me going to Google and being like, I would like an accurate, reliable, like authoritative source, like a web page that has a model on it that can help illustrate how like orbital mechanics works, and then giving me a link to an authoritative place at like a university or something. Instead, I'm supposed to trust the slop output of Gemini Flash to be an accurate representation. Like, you know what I mean? I'm watching this and I'm just like, what? Why is this useful? This just makes more work for me because now I got to go and double check the slop I just looked at. I don't understand. I don't understand this brave new world we're in. It just seems like it's making more work for us, but whatever. But that's the thing they're all going to see. And what really gets me about all this is the more that they change search from just giving you links to authoritative sources, the more they destroy the economic model of the web as we know it, including their own primary source of revenue. So it's very strange to me that they're doing this. I don't understand their economic thinking about it. Do you guys have any idea like what they're thinking? Because if you don't send people to web pages, the web pages can't be economically viable because they can't show ads, and the ads that we're showing were AdSense ads from Google, so Google can't make money. So I don't understand how it works.
It's similar,
and they don't get new information. They don't get new information if you don't have a website you're updating because people are going to the website through the search. Like there's just no. It's just de-incentivizing and removing money from everyone's pockets. I don't get it.
So what's the last knowledge cutoff that's going to be in one of these models?
It's going to be when this comes out. Like it'll be this month. It'll be May. It'll be like May or June of 2026, and all the web died after that. There's no more information updates.
I don't know if you've noticed, but these AI companies really like burning through money.
Google's not an AI company. That's like a part of what they do. Maybe that's the main thing they do now, but it's like it started out as kind of like a side gig.
Right. Well, I mean,
but they also had search agents. I mean, maybe that's somewhat useful. I don't know. What else in here? What else do we care?
AI,
Universal cart. Let's make Google insert itself between every business and all of their customers because that's worked out so well. It's been completely uncontroversial with app stores.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like it's going to go down super well. Everybody's going to love this idea. I don't have any. You know what I mean? Like it just
was this not the kind of thing that
we'll see how
was that another one of the coming soon things that hasn't shipped yet?
Everything was coming soon, right? Let's see. Universal cart. We're building the foundation for agentic commerce with updates including a new intelligent cart that brings superpowers to your shop.
This reads like an AI
generated. Can I buy anything right now with this?
People don't shop like this, by the way. I just want to point this out. Like some things, sure, you want like automatic shopping maybe, but people actually like to shop. I know weirdos maybe who don't like to shop because like nerdy people, but the majority of people they like actually shopping, often physically touching the products. You know what I mean?
Go to that Apple store every day, touching that XDR monitor. Yeah, like, come.
Yeah, man.
I'll be there soon.
I go and I stroke it a little bit to feel the cold aluminum. Make sure it's still.
This is a family. This is a family podcast. Gotta keep this PG.
But no, they have a new. Agentic commerce, whatever the hell that is supposed to be. I mean, whatever. I'm over it.
All right. And with that,
I'm over it.
Leave
me alone. I want to go.
This is the end of our AI hype section. Thank you for joining us.
Oh yeah. No, we're only pointing out the I/O stuff because we're gonna transition to what we think WWDC is, and I pray to God that this is not what WWDC is like. That these are not the types of things that they release.
I mean, hopefully, you actually see some developer APIs there, and not just everybody can code their own weird dashboard thing.
Yeah, I mean, more dashboards, man. That's what we need.
So me and Aaron had talked about this actually earlier today, speculating on this, where one avenue that could happen that might make sense is almost revamping or enhancing widgets to become much more useful than sort of like a static, kind of very staticky kind of experience. Like there's not much you can really do on those in those, rectangles, giant rectangles, but they do make a lot of sense for what we just talked about, where like most of the time you're just building glorified dashboards. So if the idea in combination of focus mode where the content can be a little more dynamic, right? So like maybe contextually you can change the widgets UI, whatever UI widgets come in at certain periods of time. Like if a sports game is happening, kind of similar to like live activity where like the sports thing would come up and then that widget, quote unquote, will show up at an appropriate time versus maybe say, the weather widget where maybe you're just about to walk out. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the weather is. And it just shows up, but maybe it has rain, right? Dynamic rain animating on that thing. And it's just a call to attention to it.
What's the AI component of this?
Well, the AI component can come in one of two places. I think the key difference between maybe Apple and Google for a fair amount of it is like, I think Apple tries to be more, well, a little more taste. I'll say
more taste.
I'll be polite about it and say like they have a different type of taste. So where they're not really, they're going to try not to like
they care about
ream you over the head. Yeah, right. Like it has to make sense to the customers, right? So they're not going to use language.
They have a wholly different business. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's not going to make. They're not really going to use Agentic every 20 seconds or talk about the singularity.
They'll just hide it, and they won't make it obvious they're doing that.
Yeah. But, they might actually use the technical terms, but.
So, I mean, I think we talked about this before for last year, Dub, and it didn't really happen. But I think you've talked before about like having more dynamic widgets and stuff. That's not necessarily an LLM thing, but it could be, I guess, right? You're saying like you could have more of a fluid type of like on-demand UI construction within constraints.
It could baby step its way, because Apple tends to baby step its way in because you don't want to like shock your users, right?
Yeah,
so like they might. And then still want to incentivize developers.
Liquid Glass, notwithstanding.
Notwithstanding. But even then, like Liquid Glass will probably be toned down to some degree. I mean, I suspect, like you and I have talked about this, where and it's been rumored that this year is going to be the Snow Leopard year for, so there won't be a lot of features. Maybe the big bang feature, which is Siri actually is useful, and maybe that dovetails in that old AI story. But they're just wrapping around the idea around Siri.
Siri is actually useful.
Yeah. Siri is actually useful, right? But it's basically AI, all the AI story, but wrapped in a Siri interface, right? And one of the other things that you can probably think about is like, okay, now that everybody's been building app intents, they've had like 2 to 3 years to build app intents in the new sort of style of implementation. You start to see a lot of them show up in like search and shortcuts and that kind of thing. I think now is the time for Apple to be like, okay, now we're going to like integrate that better with Siri, better with like maybe even with their own version of an OpenClaw. That's the one thing that I feel like if there was any takeaway from OpenClaw, Apple's like, yeah, we can do that. We have we control the entire ecosystem. Like, F the heck with these guys.
I think you're absolutely right that this year they will try to use, Dingus. They'll try to use Siri to allow you to actually set up shortcuts and such. Because I do think, and maybe that's as far as it goes. But I think the goal is to orchestrate apps via app intents, because that way developers have something to build. But I am not as sure that the personal assistant thing is going to happen this year. Oh, maybe, but then it feels like they'd have to be rushing that out. Maybe they announced something. I don't know, but because Google's doing it, and then obviously everybody else is doing it in different ways.
But how well does it work?
I think it's like
right. And what does it do that's useful?
Right, exactly. I have yet to see a good example of it doing anything.
Well, except for Alex Hillman's thing, but that's because it's super customized for his business and life. But for most people, what is useful about these things beyond a few automations?
I think that's the weird part, right? Like it's more about
Good
like
question.
all the
lost.
No, well, actually, all the stuff is there, right? For you to
Right,
like,
I'm talking about
what
they can do right now.
Yeah.
What they can do right now. Well, if you're talking about like
that's what I'm saying. Not like what's the potential.
They're not going to release like half. Well, they messed up so hard with Apple Intelligence launch by previewing things that didn't exist. They're not going to do that again. That's why I'm thinking like
that was them like buying into the hype of what these models could do, and then they realized that they weren't reliable enough to actually do any of those things.
Yeah, and they didn't have the capacity to build it either.
No, but just like I don't think even with the best models in the world, they could have done all those things.
That's what I mean.
To do.
Like if Apple wants to release something like an AppleClaw personal assistant thing, like what does that do? As Aaron was saying, what can it actually do this year?
Just going to answer all your emails and all your texts, and then you can just go on vacation.
You can go. You can code your app using, I guess, integrated. I guess they're going to integrate Gemini or come up with some kind of way to like say, hey, if you want to program from your phone safely on Xcode, leave your laptop open or whatever, or buy a Mac Mini.
Why not?
Mac Mini Neo.
That actually makes sense for an Xcode feature because, I mean, Codex just did it. I just tried out last night. The way they seem to be doing it is some kind of tail scale style relay thing. And then because your laptop your computer has to be actually on and awake in order for it to work.
Or Xcode already has like the MCP bridge built in now. Right. So as long as you have an agent that you trust, you could plug it in.
I wonder
over the network.
Do you think they'll do a different kind of like Codex style UI app or make Xcode have that kind of feature? Because everybody's moving towards these UIs that are like the 3 panes, your threads on the left, your chat in the middle, and then like the pane on the right kind of changes depending on what you're looking at.
They might just use iMessage. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't as like the key interface, right? So like for consumers, it's like you just have like your typical basic stuff. But
for like the interface,
right. As for the key, because it's not that different, right? In terms of like in the basic scheme of things, it's just a glorified like group chat looking thing, right? And the majority of the time, the UI is all the key components are there for them to like return back images, videos, whatever in that chat flow, the threads or whatever you want to call it, and then all they have to do is say, okay, now point to your agent or whatever. You have your special little personal agent that you can send requests to do things, right?
Oh
It's perfect because now you can securely do these things because you're in the Apple ecosystem. And if you want to pay more, and if you want you pay Apple Xcode Cloud money, right?
Xcode Cloud money.
Several agents, right? It'll be a part of the Xcode Cloud services. Like it's actually like.
Well, I don't know. Would that iMessage to your personal assistant sounds like a consumer thing. I could see that working though. They kept the blue bubbles despite the RCS integration. Maybe for this reason, only blue bubbles can talk to your Siri assistant on your Mac.
Yeah, I mean, or it can be a glowing bubble for all we care, right?
Maybe it's a multicolored glowing bubble, But no, right, that's not a bad idea. They have the bots for years now. They've had the business bots or whatever they call them, where you can have So through the iMessage system. So bringing that to the consumer, I hadn't really thought about that. That's like a new one I've heard. I didn't see any rumors.
Even bringing that to developers, right? Like, let's just maybe you have a cloud-based system that's like, hey, I want you to here's access to the repo. And now I want you to do all the same things you would have done with OpenClaw or Claude Code or whatever on the phone. You do here with iMessage, and you just tell your bot, hey, what's the status on my on that job that I asked you to do to change the banner or whatever? And it's like, hey, we're done. Do you want to take a preview or whatever? You want to download it from TestFlight because it's done all that work, right? All integrated through and you have like maybe if you want to use the cloud, right, to the Xcode Cloud service that has some kind of agentic system that will actually do has its own workers and agents. that might be an interesting idea. There is an opportunity for Apple to say, hey, within our ecosystem, you can build, you can choose to build, you can do that all agentically within the Apple ecosystem. And they would do a lot of, the same work, but in a secure manner, right? Because like there's less, less whole, they have a little more, they have access to the entire system. The whole vertical integration.
Are they still going to let you like pipe that through like whatever the latest Claude model, or is that only going to work with their own?
Only their own. Yeah, Apple Intelligence model. Yeah.
I think Apple trusts any of these other companies as much as you can throw a rock at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Aren't they running the Gemini-based upgrade on their own server?
What the rumor is, or I guess they announced that, or Google announced the partnership that Apple Intelligence is going to be powered by Gemini, but it's still, I don't know if there's like the actual full details of how that's actually going to work. It's like supposedly going to be running on some Apple secure server, maybe not. I don't know.
Or maybe at some point, but it'll just be like in a secured Google Cloud. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't detailed enough to know for sure.
So we think there's going to be maybe an AppleClaw type service. Definitely is going to be more changes to Xcode to probably to support like multiple agent stuff or whatever. I think they might add a new UI style, like in the Codex style, for development tools.
On the non-AI front,
yes, that's what I'm getting to.
What about the rumored folding phone? Are they going to announce anything for the UI?
September.
How is that going to work? How are your apps going to work?
You know how the tea leaves. You read the tea leaves. They're not going to talk about it, but they'll talk about it.
Right. But are you going to be able to tell how are you going to scale a UI from like an iPhone into an iPad seamlessly?
Yeah.
Without
maybe
losing your
like
place. That. Is it just going to be another version of like the slide over thing in iPad? What are they going to do? What is this thing? Is this thing going to run iPad OS? And then when you close it, it like switches to the slide over.
Maybe it's already there. Maybe it's the new iPad OS Windows stuff we had last year. Maybe that's
so. Yeah, is it just going to like run it in a small window?
Yeah, it just changes the size as dynamically. Maybe they already did it.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the things that might be an open question is like, do they say, okay, if maybe they go, the tea leaves will be if they merge iPad OS and iOS, it's like, oh, we're back to the same thing again, right? Like it doesn't matter.
Oh, they change the name. Yeah, because they are almost the same thing, but not quite.
But like, I guess the way I look at it is like, because like the only way that can work, the foldable thing, is that you have an iPad. Well, that's not the only way, but like the ideal way is like you have an iPad version and an iPhone version, and it just converts between the two, right?
Yeah, because there are some like weird things like iPad OS doesn't have a phone app.
No. That's true.
So.
Right, that's a very, very valid point.
Or can you now use your iPad as a phone?
You could just
that would be hilarious.
Just have calculators? They just have the calculator.
I can't wait to see somebody holding the iPad up to their ear.
Hey man, the phones are almost as big as an iPad Mini now, so it's not too far off.
No, I mean,
but okay, so like we also the big thing is definitely going to be the Siri upgrade that everybody's waiting for. Something there that makes Apple Intelligence kind of useful and allows them to release updated HomePods and stuff that they're probably holding back.
Yeah,
for like a year now. Well,
I don't know
chip
why.
Shortages.
I don't know why they need to wait for that, but
because they probably don't do anything new until the Siri stuff exists.
That never stopped them before.
I guess that's right.
I mean, it might also be interesting.
Maybe they can't get enough RAM.
Yeah, that's more likely.
Yeah, I mean, we got to spend 2 years building up the RAM supplies.
I wonder if if they're gonna have like a home presence like segment in there where they're really gonna push the idea,
the HomePad or
the HomePad,
the Pixar lamp or whatever the thing is.
Maybe they'll have like an iPad demo in the giant dollhouse where it shows like the new Home app or something, and that's actually like a preview of the HomeOS stuff.
I mean, the iPad the iPad demo, like the iPad feels like the best, or at least the most reasonable conduit for like a home presence system, because that's what they usually use for like, oh, I want to control I want access to a dashboard to all the controls of all my thing.
Dude,
right?
have you been to like any music venue? Like iPads for years have been the control plane for like walking around, adjusting sound and stuff on the fly and lights. Like it's a perfect form factor for controlling stuff like a smart home. I mean, it's you know, and then if you put that maybe on a wall or something, you can have
how much is that wall mount going to cost?
Yeah, it's $1,000, $100. It's made of aluminum,
not
polished
not
aluminum.
Not that expensive. $500. You know, gotta
$50.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
pay extra for the mount. You can buy the home whatever we're gonna call it, but you gotta pay extra for the mount if you want on your wall.
Oh, that's a good point.
Drywall.
Is it just going to be a wall mount
section.
for a regular iPad, or is it going to be a dedicated device?
No, I think they're gonna make. I don't know. They gotta make a dedicated device. I think it'll be more like a home pod with an iPad on it or something like that. Not look like that janky, but I'm sure it'll be something more like, you know, more specific. Because like if it's not a speaker, I don't see what much of a point of it is. You know, maybe it'll be part of the HomePod lineup, but it'll just have its own more HomeOS.
Yeah,
operating system.
There's been rumors about this HomePod with a screen, whatever.
For a while,
for a while.
Again, and then there was no more RAMs, and there was no Siri.
I am curious though. Do we have any out of the box predictions that are like, it could be a wish list thing, but like just like
Apple abandons Swift and goes back to Objective C? No.
Yeah, never going to happen.
No.
They're going to Rust before that happens.
Maybe Swift on the server is a thing this year.
Oh, that would be nice. Or Swift and embedded Swift.
They'll convert all of their terrible App Store Connect stuff to
or Rust.
Oh, have they done any of that conversion? I don't know.
No, because it's like it's
out of the box.
Talk about something like what's kind of funny is like, because there's so much legacy in that. There's like iTunes Connect and like all the jank prior to that for like, I guess whatever the back end business stuff is. So like it is brutal, because I think it was done in Java back in the day. So
I don't know about out of the box, but I think this is a year we get programmatic access to some kind of Apple Intelligence on the server system. So I think there'll be more like demos and talks about how to use LLM features in your applications, because Apple at these conferences they have to sell the idea that the features that they're building, the AI whatever stuff, is going to help us as app developers make money, because that's like their core audience for this outside the regular keynote. Like the conference is for developers who are there primarily because they want to make money on the apps. So they have to provide avenues for that. So they have to somehow like walk this line where they're building stuff that's maybe similar to what other companies building, but they're not saying like it's going to replace everybody's job or something, or replace apps. You know what I mean? They can't.
And how are they going to sell all these LLM features without losing a bunch of money on tokens? Like who's gonna pay for that?
We are going to pay.
Every app is going to have to charge $20 a month for tokens.
Well, no, this is a good point. Maybe there, as Kotaro was saying with the AppleClaw or something, there'll be some kind of amount of token budget or whatever your app can have, or maybe it's just part of your subscription as a user, like you do for iCloud storage now.
Yeah. That's a good point.
When's the $200 a month? When's the $200 a month iCloud Max plan coming?
Oh my God!
iPod Pro.
It is. It's coming. Oh no, that's
Apple
an excellent
Intelligence
point.
Pro, Apple Intelligence Max.
Here we go. Here's it's not really out of the box, but Apple keeps leaning more heavily into services. So all this stuff that they're going to release, I think, developer tool updates will be probably a big part of it. There'll be a big part, I think it'll be about the Siri stuff for consumers, and then it's going to be like, well, how can you as a developer take advantage? And part of that's going to be a brand new subscription we get to pay for.
Xcode Pro.
Yes, exactly. Xcode Pro.
Don't give them horrible
Xcode
ideas.
Pro.
It's like, hey, listen to the guys at Billy Cocoa Heads. That's a great idea. Money-making idea.
Oh, my God. Xcode Pro. Xcode
Xcode
Plus,
Cloud,
Xcode Pro, Xcode Max.
Cloud
Xcode
Pro.
Ultra, $300 a month.
Yes.
I mean, you got to think about it, right? Like if
for Apple, we have a premium.
$1,000 at least, minimum. $1,000 a month. because they don't lose money. Okay, that's how they work. That's how they operate. They never lose money. So
well, they're also going to have it less than state of the art. If you're going to use Apple's model for coding, it's going to be less than the state of the art models. It'll be like up there, but it's not going to be. I don't know. They're going to have to. Why would they want to get in the business though, providing tokens for coding on their own? Like that doesn't sound like a business they want to get into.
They wouldn't do that. It's more like they would allow you to partner or use any of the other partners like Gemini or Google, whatever.
You really think they're going to become a model aggregator?
No way.
They might, but
I think they'll provide
be
a feature.
Yeah,
that they'll provide features that you can tap into. So they'll have to be like. Not
so you're just going to bring your own API key,
right? But they also have data centers. Yeah. They have data centers, right? They could say,
but this stuff is so data intensive. It's like it's so expensive to run.
That is, but they have.
When are they going to launch the like Apple Ultra Inference Cloud?
Yeah,
which is like 1,000,006 Ultras.
That's where all the Ultra chips went. They didn't go to the computer.
Yeah. That's right. They went to the data center.
All the whatever it is, M4 Ultra, M5 Ultra.
Surprise, bitches. We had the chips you wanted, but we took them.
You think about it, like we joke about like Marco Arman's like 48 Mac Mini rack, right?
48 big Mac Minis rack. Yeah, he single-handedly caused a Mac Mini shortage in the Northeast.
Like, take my beer. Let me. Apple's like, we got thousands for you, and
thousands.
You just pay us $1,000. Yeah, millions. Okay. You just pay us $1,000 a month, and you too. Okay. Can just go ham on your tokens.
Okay, so obviously this is still going to be all AI focused probably this year.
Oh, goodness,
so what else?
Yeah.
What is it? What's going to be the headline? Okay, I guess it's that Siri works. So from a developer perspective, what's the headline feature that Apple's going to push that is going to say this is going to make your life better? It's going to help you make more money. Is it just going to be Siri integration works now, like you expect, and you can have shortcuts and stuff that work?
That's the consumer facing part of the story.
So what's the developer facing part? The other side of that, just you can build that now.
You still have to build the app intents to make that work.
Yeah. Right. And then maybe
unless they're going to say like Siri's just going to use one of these like vision action models and just use your app directly without you doing anything.
Ooh, that would be outside the box. That would be slow and your phone would lose 50% of its battery and catch fire. But if you tried that using Codex, I mean, it's very, very expensive. I did it. It was very slow and it was very expensive, so I don't recommend.
That's part of the subscription.
We forget
it's part of the max $300 a month subscription.
We're also forgetting that we could be pretty well assured that there'll be a new foundation model, whether it's based on Google Gemini or something like that. Is an open question.
Gemini, whatever.
How much of the storage on your phone is it going to take up?
Oh, it's going to take up.
That's why they upped the storage.
Is it going to be more than 3 gigabytes?
For sure.
What was that size of that Google? What was that Gemini local model we talked about a while back?
Oh my goodness,
one of the Gemma ones, or
the Gemma.
The forced Google search model that they install with Chrome.
Right.
So I'm like, maybe you're right, Kotaro, that they could have a new foundation like model, or maybe multiple models available. Like, maybe you can run more different local models, and we'll supply them. Because the big problem of running local models is having to include it all in your bundle, load it all into memory. It's very inefficient. But maybe Apple will get into the game of providing a curated list of partner models you could use too, or maybe just the Gemma model, maybe a version of the Gemma model. I don't know. That could be interesting. Like, I think they're going to be about, here developers, here's the thing that makes Apple different is that they integrate everything, right? So they have to provide tools and features that developers can't do easily on any other platform.
One
it's interesting because any of these useful models are gigantic, so you need some big server infrastructure to like serve like multi-gigabyte models, which I don't know how compatible it is with like movie rentals, because those things are like streamed, although you can download them.
Right.
So I don't know if they can use any of
the data centers.
They do. They have a lot of. They announced a lot of some stuff recently, like automatic subtitling on videos. They have a bunch of accessibility stuff they got announced and out of the way, so they don't have to talk about it. That stuff is all cool, and that's all local. So I think there'll be, I think you're right, Kotaro, a new, whatever they call foundation model, like more capabilities there than we had before. Maybe we'll get like more actual multimodal capability. I don't know, is that possible to do on a phone? Maybe not.
It is. It is possible.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we could get maybe better vision model integration, like maybe all the multimodal stuff that we didn't really have easily right now. Maybe they'll just start unifying that. That would be a useful thing if you can unify the APIs into something, because the foundation model API is very simple. If you can unify stuff into that kind of simplicity, make it easy for developers to do it with Swift UI views that allow you to generate UI snippets like you were talking about earlier more easily from that output, like that could help us make more interactive, more like flexible kind of apps that don't require as much manual. Maybe make a template for the UI and then it fills it in better, more than that kind of thing.
Like I know like Gen UI is a big thing on the Flutter side.
Yeah,
but like
Gen UI, yeah.
If that would be something that they have an equivalent for on Swift UI, that'd be one thing I can see.
Yeah, I could see that. That could be cool this year. I mean, I think. I think we have to temper our expectations.
Yes,
because I think they're not gonna announce things that aren't ready this year because they learned their lesson, and they really just need to get Siri to be useful. They just need like an LLM based Siri that can understand your intent, and if they can get that to then do the killer app. I saw this rumor, and I think it's true. Is you'll be able to go in the Shortcuts app and then talk to Siri and have it build you the workflow.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
Like if that works, that's the kind of thing we would talk about as universal UI. That's the thing. If that amount of understanding of intent and then linking it to actually doing something in app works, then we could add that to our applications. That would be enough for me for one dub, and then they can iterate over a few versions over the course of the year and add more stuff. I
wouldn't it be hilarious?
Want them not to F it up again.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if you said, like, give me a not crappy prompt, like a 365 Copilot, PowerPoint prompt, but this would be like Keynote. It's like, give me a decent keynote about this, like a 10-slide keynote
to make
and they'll do it.
Yeah, that'd be a killer feature. Make me a slide that doesn't suck.
Yeah. So that's all we have for today. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you find our phillycocoa.org, by the way, completely rewritten from scratch. Amazingly. Thanks to Steve over here.
No.
Yes. Thanks to Steve over here.
From scratch.
Nobody needs to know this part. There you can find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is. And please share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. We have our good friends, appjohn.com. This is not a sponsored promotion. They just make great apps. They're our colleagues at down in Bucks County, and they make a collection of wonderful apps, ClipDish, MioVio, and a meditation app. iPhone and iPad, all subscription-based, but you can try them out before you buy. So, yeah. And then I guess with that, till next time, good luck on your own developer journey. We'll cheer for you always.
Surprise, bitches, we had the chips you wanted, but we took them.